Well, I asked you guys if you wanted to see it, and you said you did. So, here are some pictures from Spain. Hope you enjoy. And now I bet you're wondering what I did in Spain. Well, obviously I bought some candy and soda, because I wanted to feel at home. But really, the bottle was just an odd shape, and the candy had a weird packaging on it, so I wanted to take a picture of it and eventually eat it, and the candy and the soda did taste different. After a day of resting in the hotel, a tour group I was in took a trip to Malaga, the city we were in. The first place we stopped was in a fort. The view was spectacular. The fort was located on top of a hill, and from that vantage point, I could see a lot of the city. And if you didn't know already, Malaga is on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. And here's a picture of a flower. I think it looks pretty good. The flower, not the picture. The picture's crap. And here's a picture of my dad taking a picture of a flower. This is the most interesting video ever. After we left the fort, we went into the city of Malaga itself. We went on the streets and looked at the sights. We even went to the church where Pablo Picasso was baptized. We stopped here for a while, and I took a lot of pictures of this Roman theater. It was built during the time of Caesar Augustus. And here's everyone's favorite tree. As to what species this tree is, I'm not sure. But the way its trunk is set up is very interesting. Also, it may look like it's on a bed of grass, but it's actually a bed of clover. And again, there was many beautiful churches. We didn't go inside this particular church because we had to pay to go in, and it wasn't part of the tour. But what was part of the tour was this small shop that sold churros and hot chocolate. And the chocolate was so thick that it was more of a dipping sauce than something you drink. And it was delicious. Now this is a beautiful pair of knockers.
What knockers?
After taking a picture of some horse-drawn carriages and one last picture of the bell tower, we went back to the hotel. Now I don't know if you guys like Coke or Pepsi more, but I'm a Pepsi guy. I like drinking Coke, but I prefer Pepsi. And surprisingly enough, it was really hard to find Pepsi in Spain. Most places served Coke. But I found it. And you really can't tell by this picture, but the cans are smaller there. And as you can see, the hotel room looked right out to the Mediterranean. We were on the top floor, which was the 7th by the way, and the view was pretty nice. And what hotel room isn't complete without a mini fridge filled with mini drinks and mini booze? And for some reason, I took a picture of this exit sign. That night we ate on the boardwalk, and I was surprised to see that they had mayonnaise. And in a green package, no less. When I first saw it, I thought it was relish. Walking down the boardwalk, there were a lot of interesting things, including this Tide barricade, which had a lot of cats on it. Some knockoff board games, and the best anti-burglary device I've ever seen. The next day, we went to the city of Ronda. It was a good hour-and-a-half drive away from Malaga, and it was on top of a mountain, more than 2,000 feet above sea level. It was a very beautiful place, and most of the time you couldn't even tell you were that high up. But other times, when there was a cliff face, you really could. And I mean, really. Again, there were beautiful churches and horse-drawn carriages. But, to be honest, I felt a little weird taking pictures inside a church, until I saw that everyone was doing it. And I mean everyone. I'm not just saying like everyone in our tour, but I mean everyone in the church. And it's not like there were any services going on or anything. Did I mention that it was an amazing view and I wish I had a better camera? I mean, I took these pictures with my phone, and before you ask, it's an iPhone. I got it as a birthday present. But really, I mean, look at the view. And then we headed to the bullfighting ring. Now, I didn't see any bullfighting, and from what I understand, they do it less than 5 times a year. But it's a deep, deep part of the culture in Spain. And where it can sometimes be cruel, it's also just part of their culture. Inside the bullfighting ring, there was a museum. I took a liking to the immense amount of artillery they had there. Many beautifully made guns, and while I'd never fire a gun, I'd sure like some of these. And I'd just like to point out in this picture that you can see my reflection, and I'm wearing a Godzilla shirt that I made myself. Pretty much a dead giveaway that I was American. With the English writing and all. Okay, it's the 3rd day out, and what am I gonna do? Get some candy, of course. I bought this Crunch Bar, and it's segmented, which we don't have in America, but I guess is popular there. But that was just a pit stop on one of the largest cities in Spain, Seville, the last city that we traveled to. And being an older city, they had a lot of very beautiful architecture. The tower that you're seeing in most of the pictures is actually part of a Muslim mosque, which was later transformed into a cathedral and is one of the largest churches in all of Europe. And it really shows. The building is immense, and the architecture is just beautiful. Also, the art is spectacular, breathtaking. But when you're talking about churches in Europe, that's usually what people say. Again, my camera does not do any of this justice. And really, it's a place you gotta see to believe. And of course I'm not saying you should all go to Spain, but still. Now this one sculpture, statue, whatever you want to call it, is actually the tomb of Christopher Columbus. And according to the tour guide of the church, Christopher Columbus's remains traveled all over the world after he died. But most of his body is in that tomb. And when I say most, I mean like 60%. And some of it's in other countries, believe it or not. This giant door has not been opened in over 30 years. And the reason why is because it's only opened when the Pope or the King of Spain goes into the church. And the last time that happened was in the 80s. The artwork in the church just amazed me. And there was so much and so little time to be there that I couldn't really get a good look at it all. But still, I had a great time in this church. After we left the church, we spent the rest of the day around the city, had lunch, and waited for the bus to go back to the hotel. At a pit stop on the way home, I found a safe haven for Pepsi lovers, but I didn't buy any. Funny enough. On the way back to the hotel, we saw a lot of scenery, and I took a few pictures, obviously. This mountain is supposed to look like a face. I can see it. And you probably can too. It's pretty obvious. And if you know me by now, you know that I'm gonna buy some more Spanish junk food. And if you're familiar with Pocky, well, here's the Spanish equivalent. Mikado. Made by the same company. Last day in Spain, I took this picture on the plane to Madrid. There's no international airport in Malaga, so we had to fly from Malaga to Madrid so we can get back home. I don't know why people think America's big. I mean, look at this airport. It's huge. Much bigger than the one in Philadelphia. And look at these cigarettes. Also huge. And a gigantic Toblerone. But then again, they have that in every airport. And the last picture I took in Spain was of the ticket counter. Philadelphia, spelled with F's instead of PH's. If that doesn't sum up my trip, well, Let's just say it's awesome. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this slideshow. And if you didn't, remember, you asked for it.